This week's message from Isla, the mother of creation, the mother of all souls, is a super exciting one about the months ahead, about what's coming up for us in the fall as we're coming out of this rather intense eclipse period. And it is talking about some increasing perceptions that we might be able to experience. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad you are here. Welcome. And for anyone who's new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I channel Isla, which is I''LA. She is the mother of all souls. And I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance. And from my trance state, I raise my awareness as high as I can go. And then I stretch just a little bit higher and I connect, and the messages, information, and healing come through. And I share it here with you guys on YouTube. So this week's message is, and I will share the original message, which I channeled yesterday, and then I will share the breakdown afterwards. And I do that so that you can just relax and enjoy the frequencies that come through in the message. And in the breakdown, we go into it and you just get a whole lot more out of it. So I think you'll find that that is worth sticking around for. So the summary, if I had to say what the message is really about, it's talking about how we are just coming out of this really intense eclipse period, how we have gone through a pretty significant internal process where we have gone through massive healing or letting go of things. And this may have shown up in your own life. It could have shown up as emotional shifting. It could have been something physical in your actual physical life. It could have been the seeding of something which is now going to unfold over the next 6 months. But it has been, in all cases, it has been in some way transformational for us. And she is saying that now we are moving from what has been a period of internal change to a period of external change. And so what this is going to create for us potentially is the ability to start spending just a little bit more time experiencing the new future, experiencing more our opening perceptions. So anyways, I think you're going to love the message. I also wanted to invite you, if you are free, to come and join me this Saturday the 3rd, or excuse me, Saturday the 5th, here on YouTube. I'm going to be live, and I'm going to be sharing how Soul Convergence, my main healing program, which is starting in September, starting in just a couple weeks, 2 weeks, how it has changed, how I'm adding in some pieces that I'm so excited about, which will help you to use the healing process as a way of also learning how to heal yourself ongoing. So, and we're going to be going deeply into understanding how to move your own energy, how to work with your own energy, and helping you through this, the workshop that's coming at the beginning, that we're adding at the beginning of Soul Convergence. From that workshop, you will learn what is the main river that you are swimming in this lifetime. What is the main wound that you have come in to work with and to heal and to explore as a soul, so that you can bring that into the Soul Convergence process and move through it with grace and ease, supported by the angels. So I think it's going to add a dimension to Soul Convergence. I'm so excited about it. So come and we'll talk about it. I'll share with you what it's going to be, what it's like, and what Soul Convergence is all about. And we'll just also hang out and have fun. So come and join me. Come and hang out with me Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, the 5th of September. All right. So take a breath, and let's now begin with the original channeling. And then afterwards, we will do our breakdown. Blessings. I am with you once again. We can begin now thinking a new thought, a new something that is just starting, a new opening that is now surrounding yourselves. There has been a transcendence that has occurred, a separating from what was, a place from within your own heart that you have recovered, that you have discovered again. You have opened a portal of inner healing and have moved yourselves beyond something that was limitation. This has been an individuated journey, individuals discovering themselves. It has been a process within which you have opened doorways that you thought remained closed. There were places within your own hearts that have become unburdened. In this next process that you are just beginning, it shall be something new, unlike what was in this past time frame. It shall become a new unveiling of your outer realm, of the world around you, not the inner realm, which is what you've been experiencing. It shall become a revelation of externality. There shall begin in the world around you, begin showing things that you can now come nearer to understanding. It shall be as if the blinders are removed and you see things that you couldn't see before, as if it is your own world, yes, that is transforming, but also the world around you, the greater world, the greater shared reality begins to feel itself cracking open. There shall be some major divergence divergences from what has been. And this is just now beginning to unfold. What shall it mean for yourselves? It is a reflection of the internal shifting that you have been experiencing. It now begins to reflect outward, and your world begins changing, and your own personal world will become a clearer repeat of your own internal thinking. It will become a clear reflection of what you are. The greater shared reality begins to fracture in bigger ways, as you have been seeing. There has been an increasing acceptance of the changes that are happening around yourselves. There has been increasingly a sense of regularity to the rise and fall of things as weather systems change, as heat becomes unbearable, as mudslides change the world. There has been increasingly the sense that these are natural and regular occurrences. And I wish to express that there is within them something supernatural. There is within them the sense of the greatest fatigue of a world that is coming to terms with itself. And in the vibration of I must, I will, I can change because I have to, the world begins this process of fracture. There shall be an increasing number of visible gyrations, of changings that are not repeatable, that are one time only. There shall be the loss of leaders, there shall be the changing of hierarchies, and these are a separation indeed. There shall be a thinking amongst yourselves that what already seemed done is not done yet, and things are just now coming to a close and reopening, as if the world must resettle itself in a new identity and a new way of being. There's a great shifting going on, and it is, as I said, a reflection of the internal shifting you've been doing. The world must readjust itself to reflect the change of your inner nature. The great tide of transference of yourselves is starting again. And what I mean by this is that your own energy shift from one place to another, from one reality to the next. That this has occurred once before in the late December window of the previous year, and it begins again as you enter into the fall time period, where your energies begin to shift again into reality creating in the new vibration, where there is more of an effort to direct your own vibrations into the new and next becoming. This shall feel for yourselves as if you begin to inhabit two places at once. Not that you are leaving the current reality just yet, for you are not yet, but it shall feel as if you move between these layers almost more apparently, as if you begin to become sensitive to what are these changes around yourselves, as if the new reality becomes slightly more perceptible and becomes seemingly integrated in your life experience, as if you are straddling a bit more of that world as you are still mired in your own. And this is exciting. It begins to leak through like cracks in a vase. The light, the light, the light, the light, the light, the light of the next realm begins to pour through, and you see, like cracks in a window, you see it in moments, but not always. It shall come and come again and come again, and reassure yourselves that this change is happening and you are part of it. And thus, what I would say is to open up the doors and windows and to feel yourself celebrated, for you have achieved something in the times that have passed of your own clarification, of your own identity, of your own understanding about who you are. And this is now reflecting itself into the world, and the world must adjust, but as a consequence of this changing, there shall be a greater shifting of your own energy field into the creating of what comes next. And you may begin to perceive it increasingly as time moves forward. So I wish to encourage you and congratulate you on what you have done, on your internal sovereignty and discovery, how you are moving through things and understanding yourselves better. For this then does draw further to a close that which should be leaving, and allows you greater freedoms in the creation of what is a new beginning. I say bless you. Thank you. And goodbye. So exciting, right? Chills. For me, I think, oh my gosh, yes. So, I mean, when I hear this message, like the thing that just like whoop, it stands out that's exciting is that we're going to start perceiving things more readily. And I'm thrilled about this. You guys know, like in the past year, the telepathic experiences that I've had have upped like dramatically. Where in the course of my life before that, what I would say in terms of the number of like truly telepathic experiences were maybe like on the palm of one hand, over my whole life. They're and the ones where I truly, like, without question, it was telepathy. In the last year, I've had like 5 in the last year. And then night before last, I had another one, which was super, super cool. And it was so sweet. I woke up at night. I was in that state, kind of half awake, half asleep. And I heard the heart. And that's how it's been happening, is I hear people's hearts. And I heard the heart of one of the girls in my neighborhood. And I knew it was her because when I hear the heart, I hear it in the person's voice, but I know it's their heart. It's like a knowing that comes in. And I heard her heart speaking in her voice. And it was saying, "Aw." And I knew she was starting school the next day. And so her heart was probably heavy. Her heart was sad, sad, but also, the feeling of like, I'm starting to, summer's over. And it was like, oh, and I heard it twice on 2 occasions. I heard it. And then I kind of fell asleep, and I woke again and I heard it again. And I went, and so, yeah, so I woke up so psyched. So there it was, another, and she wasn't talking, and that was what was interesting. It was not location dependent. I wasn't talking to her at the time, that she's nearby, but she was in her house, I was in my house, but my heart still heard her heart. Isn't that amazing? So just having these little experiences, and I feel like that's what this message is talking about, saying, hey, we've moved through some stuff. And we are now, because of that, it's like we did internal work. And now that the work is done on the inside, we are reflecting that work out into the world, and the world has to respond, right? The world has to begin to reflect the changes that we are embodying, that we have raised our vibe. So now the world has to reflect that. And so that will create a little bit of chaos. That's going to create some, because part of when we shift our vibe, just like we just did, like think about what you just went through, is you had to go through whatever the change was, right? You had to go through something and face it, brings it up to the surface, whatever it was, and then you encounter it, and then you let it go. And then you're all of a sudden bright and shiny. Bright and shinier. And the world will now express that too, because we are reflecting our higher vibe into the world. So now we can expect the world to go through some stuff. Not that it hasn't already been going through some stuff, but apparently it will be more apparent. Some bigger, broader things will happen. And interesting, she describes them as one-time things. So not like something, to me, what stands out about that, it's unexpected, right? One-time things, not like a thing that you would anticipate, like we're waiting for a particular, I don't know, whatever it is. Like it's we can't anticipate it. Something that's different, that kind of comes out unexpectedly. And, but what that does is it then releases energy and raises the vibration. And we may begin having more of these experiences like what I'm describing, more experiences where we can begin to perceive in little moments, begin to perceive things that for us help us to identify stepping or straddling into this new higher vibration of what we call New Earth in moments. So very, very exciting, very exciting. So let me see what you guys are saying. And Wendy says, does it feel like the time for the earth rift and the angels talked about? I don't know. So I will share something with you that is really was interesting. Is so I channeled about the earth rift. Uh, it was back in 2020 where I got that. And it was one of the first messages that I trans-channeled from the angels that came in really early, and that came in association with another message about a gas cloud. And they talked about this gas cloud, and that you basically don't go outside, keep your doors and windows closed. But it was affecting, when I channeled it, it said that it was going to come up, and they kind of described a geographic, like it was going to go up from sort of like India and then up through the Middle East and Turkey, that direction. But the idea was that it would be carried by the wind, and that basically you just had to stay indoors for a few days and it would pass by, but that you wouldn't want to go outside. And I'd never really heard anybody else talk about it. Like, I just got this message, and I deliberately try not to listen to other channels because I don't want it to affect what I'm channeling. So even though I would love to, I try not to, because if I feel like I want to make sure that I like it when stuff comes in and it's a surprise to me. So, but I recently, there's a woman who shares Nadi palm reef readings, which is these Nadi, they were basically Indian, like from India, um, wise people or saints, however you want to describe them, that they were alive thousands of years ago. And they came, and some people say that maybe they were actually aliens. We don't really know, but they recorded all of these readings that they did for people who are living in our time. And they wrote them on these palm leaves, which is like basically the base of a palm. They scratched these readings into these palm leaves. And so this woman is sort of collecting these readings and then sharing sort of like what it says about the world. Well, surprise, surprise, it popped up on my thing, on my feed. She received one about the gas cloud and the earth rift. And it's the first time I've ever heard anybody else say anything about it. And so of course I was like, could not not listen. And she got two confirmations of it. She got two separate people who got Nadi leaf readings, and both of their leaf readings mentioned this earth rift and the gas cloud. And they were both of them lived in California, and it said both of them would be, experience that the cloud would drift their way and that they would experience it. Then she got a third reading from someone else a little while later. And in that one, the Nadi leaf said, and she had been doing, prayer meditations about this and all this kind of stuff. She got a third one that said, well, now that the danger has become less, because they were predicting it for this time window, for the time window I think that is now past. I think it's now past. And then this new reading that came in that said, okay, it's been lessened, or it's no longer going to be the same. So I don't know. So all I know is did it happen? Is it going to happen? Will it happen still? I don't really know, but I haven't ever seen another person or heard another person talk about it. And it was exactly the same kind of phrasing, 3 days, all the same stuff. And so even like keep your doors and windows closed, just very similar. So I don't know. And the angels and Isla don't really go back there. They're kind of like, we talked about that. And they only have our attention and our focus for limited windows each week. And so they tend to spend it on things that are what they think is more important. And I think that the message of that was like, they wanted to get it out into the world to say, if this happens, stay indoors. And the message is still there. If it happens, stay indoors, because it affects your respiratory system. So don't go out. And that's the message. So I don't think they feel the need to say it again, to repeat it. But I don't know. But that's the latest update is just that finally somebody else said the same thing. And then they got another message saying, and guess what? It might not happen that way. That it may be that the intervention of prayer and everything else may have helped and made a difference, which is phenomenal. And I'm so grateful if that's the case. So grateful. So, but yeah, so that's where we are on that one. So we'll just see. But, I think that the key for us with all of this is to always focus on our own vibration, always focus on just trying to hold the light and working through our own stuff, just like we're doing with today's message. Just exactly the work that we've done is how we're going to change the world, is just like what we've just been through. So yeah, super exciting. So, okay, so let's go ahead and dig into the breakdown. Are you guys ready? All right, so here it is. Blessings, I am with you once again. we can begin now thinking a new thought, a new something that is just starting, a new opening that is now surrounding yourselves. There has been a transcendence that has occurred, a separating from what was, a place from within your own heart that you have recovered, that you have discovered again. You've opened a portal of inner healing and have moved yourselves beyond something that was limitation. So beautiful opening. So she's saying, so okay, we've kind of just come to the close of an energetic system and we're stepping into a new energetic system. It's almost like waves that carry us through. And these are waves that are sort of global waves that are affecting everyone. So, and then she says a transcendence has occurred. A transcendence is a move into a higher state of being. So she's not mentioned any words there that what we've just been through has helped us to hold more light. We've let go of something, which is really, really cool. And that is by its nature a separation from what was, right? We let go. So we've separated from something that was before. It's from something we were holding on to. She says a place from within your own heart that you have recovered, that you have discovered again. You have opened a portal of inner healing and have moved yourselves beyond something that was limitation. And so, to have recovered, that you have discovered again, it's like what have we removed? What filter have we taken off our heart? What dark cloud were we carrying around that we finally were able to process, and now we've allowed another spot, another patch of light to open up in our heart to shine a little brighter. All right, next paragraph, she says, this has been an individuated journey, individuals discovering themselves. It has been a process within which you have opened doorways that you thought remained closed. There were places within your own hearts that have become unburdened. So beautiful description of the eclipse season, right? That this is what we've been doing. And it opened in what day in August? I can't remember. Early August. We literally just closed the season. It was with a lunar eclipse yesterday, and eclipses continue to affect us like 6 months before and after. So there may still be sort of the fallout of this experience. It could be that just seeds were planted in this time period that then start to play a larger role in your life going forward. It could be that this was the beginning of something faded and something meant to happen for you that that got started now, and that will become increasingly a part of your life and a part of your world. And then in this next process that you are just beginning, it shall be something new, unlike what was in this past time frame. It shall become a new unveiling of your outer realm, of the world around you, not the inner realm, which is what you've been experiencing. It shall become a revelation of externality. So our focus changes from this past wave of energy was really about us discovering ourselves. Now we've changed, so we are now reflecting that energy into the world. So the world has to change to reflect us. So it becomes an external shift. And then she says, there shall begin in the world around you, begin showing things that you can now come nearer to understanding. It shall be as if the blinders are removed and you can see things that you couldn't see before. As if it is your own world, yes, that is transforming, but also the world around you. The greater world, the greater shared reality begins to feel itself cracking open. There shall be some major divergences from what has been, and this is just now beginning to unfold. So when I read this, it really struck me as like psychic openings, like things where we might be able to open our perception, right? That things we couldn't see before, that we might be able to have perceptions that start to filter in, that maybe become more accessible to us because we've changed and now the world is going to reflect it, right? So, but I think it's also important to note that she's talking about a period of even greater change in the world. So we've been in a period where it seems like it's, the everything chaos. But I think we will start to see some things that are even more so. And I think this is coming in right at the time that, we have these crazy. So by the way, we have the mudslides in Nepal. There was mudslides happening, also devastating in Japan at the same exact time. So like, what a wild, weird, like time that we are in, that this kind of stuff is happening. And so heavy, so sad, and also transformative. And so the next paragraph, what shall it mean for yourselves? It is a reflection of the internal shifting that you have been experiencing. It now begins to reflect outward, and your world begins changing. And your own personal world will become a clearer repeat of your own internal thinking. It will become a clearer reflection of what you are. So this, I love that she's being extremely clear to say that it is the world changes because we changed first. And so now it's this idea that it starts with us, and we know that the new reality is being birthed from inside of us, but it feels like we have done some substantial work, and that we might start to see things, that these openings, these things we couldn't see before, we're going to start getting glimpses of it. The shared reality begins to fracture in bigger ways. As you have been seeing, there has been an increasing acceptance of the changes that are happening around yourselves. There has been increasingly a sense of regularity to the rise and fall of things, as weather systems change, as heat becomes unbearable, as mudslides change the world. There has been increasingly the sense that these are natural and regular occurrences. And this is, you guys, this is the frog in the boiling pot, right? Where we are just, it's like, of course it's hot, everyone's hot, but it's like we cannot live in a constant state of panic about the heat. So we just get used to it. We get used to all these terrible things happening, and we just have to learn how to cope. We have to learn continue on in our lives. So there's a part of us that if we let ourselves think about it too much, it could really freak us out. So we don't, we move along with our lives. But she's saying, that so we start to sense that these are natural occurrences because of that, but they aren't. She goes on to say, and I wish to express, and I wrote up here, departing from what is usual or normal, that it appears to be transcending the laws of nature. Oh, here it is. And she says, I wish to express that there is within them something supernatural. There is within them the sense of the greatest fatigue of a world that is coming to terms with itself. And in the vibration of I must, I will, I can change because I have to, the world begins this process of fracture. This was, to me, this paragraph, I feel like I just need to read it again, because there's an emotionality to this paragraph that I feel says so much about where the world is right now. And she's saying that there is something supernatural, that what's happening is not natural, it is supernatural. And the supernatural means that it appears to, that it's not normal, it appears to transcend the laws of nature. So in other words, record breaking. Right? That it appears to transcend everything we expect in nature. These are things like out of all expectation. It is supernatural, beyond the natural. It's not natural for us to have these things happen. It's not natural to have 105-degree days in Paris and 120 degrees it's insane. And it is supernatural. It is beyond the natural. And so she says, there is within these crazy things that are happening, the sense of the greatest fatigue of a world that is coming to terms with itself. So what that says to me, when I think of that, the greatest fatigue of a world is like, when something has been like, I think of I always go back to the metaphor of a toddler having a tantrum. And when if you let a baby cry, eventually they cry themselves to sleep, right? That it is that idea that they finally just get so darn tired that they stop resisting. And it feels like that's where the world is, the greatest fatigue, right, of a world that is coming to terms with itself, that is softening its resistance because of just being tired of the fight. And so, and in the vibration of I must, I will, I can change because I have to, right? So what we're feeling here is that humanity is not willingly, right? Is not, what is that phrase, that Shakespeare phrase of I go not softly into this dark night? Is that it? Something like that? Did I get it right, Matthew? Something like that. So this idea that the world isn't going easily, right? It's not, it's fighting, kicking and screaming along the way. But it finally gets to this place where it's like, I just can't, it's like, it finally got tired. The world is getting tired of the fight. And so it realizes, okay, I guess I have to change. I will change. I can change. So that's not saying that it's like the world is saying we will find a pathway of change because we have to. I can because I have to, right? So I will find a way, not because I know a way, I will find a way because I have to. That's the vibration of the collective consciousness right now, which is wild when you think about that. Like that's where humanity, where the collective is. And if you think about what's causing that, we got insane wars going on. We got heat, like massive portions of the world being affected by insane weather. And that, if that doesn't burn down your resistance, what will? right? So we are being worked on in huge ways to bring humanity to this state of fatigue so that we finally say, I can change because I have to, right? We have to be brought up to that edge of I have to change. I can't stay the way I was because I can't. And so I'm going to find a way. So that's where we are, which to me says good things. Like it's not easy to change that way, but we know humanity, we created the karmic system because we knew the only way we were going to change is if we had to, right? If we bumped into ourselves, if we kept encountering ourselves over, like if we were like, I'm just going to make, Angie's pointing to herself, like she knows what I'm talking about. We all do, that we would get to a place, where if everything was peaches and roses, we would never change. We'd be like, well, it's not broke. Don't fix it. This is good. I got the good things going on. It's only when things are hard that we realize we need to change. And even then, the stubbornest among us are going to fight it because we are more afraid of the thing we don't know than the bad thing we do know. It is like there's another cute phrase about that. That's something about the bad thing I know is better than the good thing I don't know. It's the uncertainty that scares the pants off us. So if we know this is just part of the human psyche, that even though the angels and Isla tell us that we are the frequency of change terrifies us. So how are we going to get ourselves to change? We just got to wear ourselves down, right? We got to get so dang hot that we just can't stand it. Something's got to break. Something's got to change. We're going to have insane things happen in the world so that we finally get to this place of saying, I can change because I have to. And the world begins this process of fracture. So that is where we are now. And I just find it to be so poignant, so telling about, because we kind of live in the spiritual circles. We live in our little bubble of spiritual happiness, and here we are collected into our communities where we're talking about love and we're talking about change and, and we're conscious of what's happening inside of us. Most of the world is not. Most of the world is not conscious of what they're feeling and experiencing or the world is going through. And so the only way we're going to be able to make a change collectively is through this process of the greatest fatigue, right? Of bringing them to the edge, of just letting them cry themselves out. And then they will change because they have to. So there shall be an increasing number of visible gyrations of changings that are not repeatable, that are one time only. There shall be the loss of leaders. There shall be the changing of hierarchies, and these are a separation indeed. There shall be a thinking amongst yourselves that what already seemed done is not done yet, and things are just now coming to a close and reopening, as if the world must resettle itself in a new identity, in a new way of being. So she is talking about things, events that might be occurring that are reflecting this changing of the world, that the world is going to reflect the change we've made. So how is that going to fall out? It may affect the political sphere. So loss of leaders and the changing of hierarchy. So this is an energy that we might be experiencing in the world coming up. And she's describing this as into the fall and winter season. And then she talks about but things that will be sort of like a one-time only. So an unexpected change or shift, things that happen once, not something that we're looking to and saying, it's time for an election, time for a new person, or that it's going to be, here's a repeatable, like a geyser going off, we can time it, it's going to happen again. It will be something that, wow, we didn't see that coming. And then here's an interesting thing she cites. She says, a feeling that what already seemed done is not yet done. So what is one of the things that I think and I think this is fascinating, we can see that a little bit like with the war, with the war that the US is in with Iran right now, where it's like, it's truce and then it's not. And then it's peace and then it's not. And we're done and then we're not. And it just keeps happening. And I will tell you, one of the things that makes you more tired than anything is thinking you're done and then finding out you're not done, because you set a goal for yourself. You're like, I just got to make it there, and I'm just going to run that far. And I'm just going to manage my energy because I know that's the goal. And if I can get to that, then I'll relax. And then what happens if you're almost there and then someone says, oh, we moved it. And now you got to go run a whole nother marathon. And there is nothing that wears you out more than that. It is exhausting. And that is what she's talking about here. So if the goal of this period of time is to wear out humanity, what better way to do it than to keep moving the goal line, to keep moving it and saying, you thought I was done, is not done, right? You thought you were finished, you're not finished. And so that's what we can expect. That's an energy we are moving into. Yay. Oh, how fun. So, but at least we know, we can be conscious of it, that it's happening. So, and she's saying the world must resettle itself into a new identity, a new way of being. And so that's part of it. How do we do that? Is through this process of like moving the goal line and this fatigue and getting to the space of saying, I must change. And that's the new identity, saying I will change because I have to. Yeah. And then she says, there's a great shifting going on, and it is, as I said, a reflection of the internal shifting you've been doing. The world must readjust itself to reflect the change of your inner nature. The great tide of transference of yourselves is starting again. And what I mean by this is that your own energies shift from one place to another, from one reality to the next. That this has occurred once before in the late December window of the previous year. And it begins again as you enter into the fall time period, where your energies begin to shift again into reality creating, the new vibration, where there is more of an effort to direct your own vibrations into the new and next becoming. So interesting. So she's saying that basically late December window of last year, that there in that window, we began and I remember in that time period, there was some messages that came through that basically said that we were now laying down the first threads of the new reality. And I don't remember specifically what that message was, but I remember it being in that time, it was like there was a change that had happened. And it was like the door had cracked open and we were beginning to form it. Like it's like the new beginning has begun, but it's just the first threads of the new tapestry of the new reality. So I went back and looked at like what were big things that happened last December. And that was when the Epstein files were released. So talk about a shift in the collective, and things coming to the surface to be healed. Like that was, it's hard to get bigger than that. Like things like a major recognition of, of where we've been and letting go of it. Same thing with there was a massive protest in Iran at the same time. So that's another like rejection of like, we're not going to take it anymore. That's kind of the vibe. So that was happening in December of that. And so she's saying that we are entering into the fall time period now, which is again where we're going to be. So in that time period, she's saying we were beginning to shift our own energies from the internal, working on the internal, to beginning to project that out into the world to create this new higher frequency. And she's saying we're going to be seeing that again now in this fall time period that we're starting kind of now. Yeah, which is really, really cool. We're going to be tapering off the eclipse, still feeling the effects for a while, and then at the same time ramping up this next wave of projecting that transformation from inside of us, projecting that into the world. And then she says, let's see, this shall feel for yourselves as if you begin to inhabit two places at once. Not that you're leaving the current reality just yet, for you are not yet. But it shall feel as if you move between these layers almost more apparently, as if you begin to become sensitive to what are these changes around yourselves, as if the new reality becomes slightly more perceptible and becomes increasingly seemingly integrated into your life experience, as if you are straddling a bit more of that world as you are still mired in your own. So this is where it starts to get really exciting, because it sounds like we are going to start having unusual perceptions of the reality that we're creating. And so for me, this is the telepathy that I'm starting to experience, that, and having had that experience night before last, really amazing. And of course, I'm excited and welcoming in those experiences. I have no idea how it works. I can't control it. I don't know. If I figure it out, I will tell you. But at the moment, it's like it happens totally seemingly randomly. And that gets to, she talks to that later as we go on in the message. But she says, and this is exciting. It begins to leak through like cracks in a vase. The light, the light, the light. She's excited. When she gets excited, her energy comes through, as you know, and it's like, I can't process, it can't come through me. So it's like it's a staccato, like a record being skipped. The light, the light, the light, the light. The light of the next realm begins to pour through. and you see like cracks in a window. You see it. You see it in moments, but not always. It shall come and come again and come again, and reassure yourselves that this change is happening and you are part of it. So I love this. I love this paragraph because it is absolutely describing my experience so far with telepathy. So, and she's saying that it will come through randomly, which is exactly how it's been for me, where I can't control it. I've tried recreating it. I actually tried. I went back and tried to recreate the such situations, like when I had my first experiences where I could hear someone's heart. I tried to do it again. It didn't work. I couldn't. I mean, I had all the variables the same, couldn't do it, and it didn't happen. So I have not been able to, and then to control it at all. She says, and you see like cracks in a window. You see it. So cracks in a window, what a strange phrase, right? Of course I had to look that up. What does a crack in a window do to light? And she says, what I read in the dictionary, it says a crack in a window, it fractures light, like it reflects it and scatters the light. So the light looks, when you have a crack in a window, the light looks silver and bright, and it goes in many directions. So it is, if you think about, like, look, you normally when the window is clear with no cracks in it, you see right through it. But if there's a crack in the window, that line becomes highlighted, right? You see it more clearly, and it seems to be, if you really look at it, it's brighter than the rest of the glass. You can't see past it. You see the crack rather than seeing through it to the scene beyond. And the crack itself looks sort of silver, bright white or silver, if you think about that. And so what's happening to the light in the crack is that as the light comes through it, I Googled to say, well, is the light being bent? And it said, no, it is not being bent. It is being scattered randomly. So as we have these first experiences, it's like the light is we're not perceiving it in an organized way. Like if it was bent, it would be like a rainbow going through a prism where it would be organized beautifully in the different spectrum of the colors. But that's not how we're experiencing it in the beginning. We're experiencing it splatter patterned randomly. So we can't create it. It's just exactly how it's been happening with me, where it's like, oh my God, I had a telepathy come in, and can I do it again? No, it's random. Like the way light is affected when it comes through the split in the window is it hits that crack, which is sort of the difference. And then it just splatters. It becomes scattered and not organized yet. So, and that's because we're in the beginning stages. But she's saying what's cool about this, rather than being upset that we can't recreate it, she says, see this as proof that it's happening. See, each time something like this happens for you, recognize that it is showing up to prove to you that you're part of this shift, that this is really happening. It's really true. And it will become more organized over time. That it's like anything. If you start with a crack, eventually the crack gets bigger, right? And then you can have organized light come through. But at the moment, it's such a tiny, fine little crack that the light, when it goes through it, is getting scattered and it's disorganized. Does that make sense as a metaphor? I thought it was genius, a genius metaphor from her. And so you see it in moments, but not always. It'll come and come again, and reassure yourselves that this change is happening and you are part of it. So that is just awesome, because I think we need that reassurance. It's wonderful. Then she says, and thus, what I would say is to open up the doors and windows and to feel yourself celebrated, for you have achieved something in the times that have passed of your own clarification, of your own identity, of your own understanding about who you are. So, and this is beautiful, because here we're talking about trying to see through the window and looking through the crack. And then she's saying, stop worrying about it. Just open the doors and windows. She's saying, just relax about it. Like, just celebrate yourself. Stop trying. Like, just recognize you've been through something. You have changed. And now your job is to just be chill. Just be. Open up the doors and windows. Stop trying to see through them or interpret them or read them. Just relax. And then we've gone through, we've healed, and that will help to heal the world. And then she says, and this is now reflecting itself into the world, and the world must adjust. But as a consequence of this changing, there shall be a greater shifting in your own energy field into the creating of what comes next. And you may begin to perceive it increasingly as time moves forward. So two things are happening. The number one is that because we have shifted, now the world will shift. But as the world is shifting, our energy doesn't stay still. Our energy is now being put forward toward the creation of what is next, what is new, because that higher vibration is going out into the world, and it's becoming creative. And then she goes on to say, so I wish to encourage you and congratulate you on what you have done, on your internal sovereignty and discovery, how you are moving through things and understanding yourselves better. For this then does draw further to a close that which should be leaving, and allows you greater freedoms in the creation of what is a new beginning. I'd like to say bless you, thank you, and goodbye. So super cool message, isn't it? I think it's extremely cool message. So yeah, right. And so encouraging. And I do love how, as I get to share these messages with you, I often get to live the messages too, that they make it an experience that I'm having in life. So to have this message come through about expanded perception, and then to have such a cool telepathic experience, of hearing the heart of one of my neighbors who, was being sad about going back to school tomorrow, and feeling that. And it taught me a little bit more about how telepathy will come in. Like, so far, every time I've experienced telepathy, I have been in the same, no, once I experienced it, I was not in the same space, but it was with my daughter, her first kiss. I knew it. I knew when she had her first kiss. Isn't that funny? Like, I was like, I remember exactly where I was. I was on a street corner walking in downtown Bellevue, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my God, she just had her first kiss. I didn't get any details. It wasn't weird. I just knew it had happened. So, but other than that, I'd always been in the same room with the person, and or on Zoom. I was on Zoom where I could see their face, and but this time it was I wasn't even thinking about the person, and they're in another house, and it's night. You know what I mean? And so it just showed me that telepathy is, of course, it makes sense logically that it is outside of, that is location independent, but to now have that confirmation is really cool, to have it happen in that way, and recognize, location is totally irrelevant when it comes to this kind of stuff. So yeah, so to have that experience, and then to get the message to say these kind of things might be happening more and more. And of course, then I'm brought to the question, I don't know if you guys have explored this question too, the thought about like, okay, so what if will I hear everyone's hearts all the time? Or will it only be when the heart has something important to say? Will it be something I can turn on and off? Will I focus it like in the same way that we can focus our other senses? Like, will it be a thing where, like right now, if I want to smell something, I can think about smelling, but I'm not actively thinking about smelling all the time. I can close my eyes when I want to. I can parse out with my ears if I want to listen. If there's lots of different noises around me and there's a dog barking, I can tune it out, or I can focus on it, So we can focus our senses. So with this telepathy, if I can hear what a person's heart is saying, if I walk into a room, if I go to Costco, will it be nuts? Like, will I be able to focus it? Like, I can focus on my other senses. And will there be a learning curve? I have no idea. This is all yet to be discovered. So, and I don't know enough yet. It hasn't happened enough times for me to be able to draw a pattern that it wasn't like the hearts that I've heard were in grief or agony. They were just expressing what the person was trying to say, but expressing it more clearly, more fundamentally. And then the one last night was expressing a feeling that I'm sure she was probably dreaming about, or feeling as, anticipating school the next day. But yeah, it's all learning. So I think this is why talking about it. And I remember there was a message we got from the angels a long time ago, a couple of years ago, where they said it will be important for us to talk about our experiences. And I think some of that is that to help each other learn, for us to share how things are coming in, how we're experiencing them, so we can share and build our knowledge about how to be and how to navigate the world in new ways. So I will, if I figure anything out, you will be the first to know. As of now, I have nothing figured out. So there we are. So if you know, let me know, because I want to know too. Have a beautiful rest of your day, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next Friday Live. Bye, you guys.